Hello, this is Jane Hopprich with Stitch by Stitch Custom Quilting. Today, I'm hoping to teach you a little bit about doing a crosshatch, a straight crosshatch, and also doing a curved crosshatch. Here's another example of a curved crosshatch. It can be really beautiful, and I'm going to show you how to achieve that look. So I'm going to draw this out a little bit first, or we're going to talk about some different ways you can come about this. So first you'll need a straight edge ruler, or a ruler with a straight edge. And I find it helpful. So if I were to start at the edge and start going up and using my spacing on my ruler, and we'll get to that when we move to the long arm or to the other machine. You're going to start, but you could end up with a small space down here, and maybe in this one you're going to end up with a bigger one with the inability to put another one in there. And sometimes I don't like the way that looks. So the way I like to do mine is I like to start, and I like to do my first stitch line down the middle. So I do a straight line from one corner to the other corner. And then I use my ruler off of that and get my spacing the way I want it. And I keep on moving my ruler by placing it on the previously stitched line. And if your block is correctly or exactly square, then you're going to end up with the same spacing on both sides of that crosshatch. I find this way it to be a little bit more visually pleasing for me. Doesn't mean it doesn't work the other way. This is just the way that I like to do it. So again, I would end up and I would come up and do this line this way. I like to do all in one direction first and then start on the other direction. It doesn't mean that you can't do it the other way either. You can do it however works for you. I'm just showing you what works for me and my brain. So the other thing, using that ruler gives you that exact spacing, because a lot of times you can see on a crosshatch when spacing isn't exactly the same. I think if you'll look at this, I don't know if, let's see if it was that example. There is somewhere on this that I noticed that the spacing was a little off. Right here, this line going here, the spacing is a little off than the others, and sometimes that stands out to me, but you can tell if it's a bigger difference than that. So try and make sure your spacing is all the same, and it works out to be a really nice crosshatch. And you'll see how I do the stitch lines, how I do the stitch path once we get to stitch this out. So there you go. You have your crosshatch, which can be a really nice and effective design to fill in somewhere. You can even add fill work in different blocks if you like to do that too. Okay, let's move on to the curved crosshatch. For the curved crosshatch, you need a ruler with a curve, and we'll go over some other rulers once we start stitching this out. The main thing you want to know is that you need that curve to reach from corner to corner. If it doesn't reach from corner to corner, it's not going to work for that particular block. You'll need to find a different ruler that does fit. So something else that's going to really be beneficial for you is with your favorite marking utensil to mark. I'll do it in dotted lines. Mark a registration line from corner to corner. Okay, so then you're going to start on one end and you're going to figure out what spacing you want to use. So I'm going to use this spacing here, probably the second line in. So I'm going to line that up with that center registration line. I'm lining up this middle line of the ruler so I have the same curve on either side. So I'm going to line that up and I'm going to stitch it out. Now it doesn't look quite curved, but you'll see that it is. Now again, what you're worrying about is you're not worrying about the measurements over here or over here. You're worried about keeping it the same going up this registration line. So you're going to pull your ruler up to that second line and you're going to come back. And then you're going to keep on moving this up the center line. And that's where it's important because you can see it starts to bend a little bit. These outside measurements are going to be different than what this inside one is. So you're going to keep on moving up, stitching that line. Only worried about that center line and the measurements on the ruler, the markings on the ruler. Okay, and once you get it done with one side, you're going to come down and you're going to go the other way. Again, following that center line with the center marking on your ruler. So there's one. I love the curved crosshatch. I think it is really pretty design. So again, you're just moving that up that center line, only paying attention to the center line of the square or the block and the center line of your ruler that you're using. And there you go. You have your curved crosshatch there. And those markings are going to go away, so we won't worry about them. But now that we've drawn it out, we're going to go to the long arm frame and we're going to stitch them out. Again, you can use this on a domestic. You can use these rulers and you can do a curved crosshatch and a straight crosshatch on a domestic machine, a stationary long arm, or a regular long arm. I am going to be using it on my long arm today, and I'll show you some rulers different rulers I have that have worked really well for me. Okay, so here we are at the long arm frame. And again, this can be done on a domestic machine using a free motion ruler foot or a stationary long arm. But when I am looking for a ruler that's going to do my crosshatch, my straight crosshatch, I am looking for one that can reach from corner to corner. And do I have to have that? Absolutely not. You can definitely use a shorter one and just make your way down, but you might want to mark that center line first so you can make sure that you follow that line. But for today's purpose, I'm going to go ahead and use this long one, at least until I get up to some other areas. When I look for a long arm straight edge ruler, I look for a nice size, and I look for one with lots of different markings on it so that you can use all the different ways, all the different angles, all the different spacing lines on there to make life a little simpler and to give you more options with this ruler. Okay, so I'm going to position my ruler so that I'm going to have a straight line going from one corner diagonally down to the other corner. Okay, now it's there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to travel up a little bit till I get the right spacing, because you always want to put your guideline on your previously stitched line. I think I'm gonna do a 3/4 inch spacing. So I'm always going to want to do the second line on that. So here it is, I'm lining it up there. And then I'm going to, let's see if I can get you in a little closer. Okay, so then I'm gonna go ahead and up. Gonna travel over. Then I'm going to position that ruler again on the previously stitched line. Got it just about right. I'm traveling in the ditch. Okay, so once I have that one side done, you could technically stitch down this way. I like to go around and finish going in one direction first. Now again, you're going to have to put the ruler on the other side of the foot to match it up, because you're needing that line on the previously stitched line. That helps your spacing and to get everything nice and accurate. And you can see I went a little bit away from the line right there. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to go back up. Now I can pick out that wobble there if I need to. But since this is just practice, I'll probably leave it. Okay, so then we have this. Gonna travel down. All right, we're almost done. Okay, so we have it all going in one direction now. Now we can take it to the other corner. And I'll go ahead and stitch that out and you can watch. So onto the curved cross hatch. Remember what I told you earlier on when we were drawing this out, is you need to have a curved ruler that can reach from corner to corner. So obviously this ruler isn't going to work for this particular square. There's something like this that might work. That could work. That's not going to work, but it would make a nice one if the block were the right size. That one isn't going to really work. Then we have these longer ones. They would definitely work. And they have different shapes. And realize that the depth of the curve or the arc is going to create a different type of curved crosshatch. If you have something as a gentle curve, something like that, you're going to end up with a different look than if you have something with, say, a much deeper curve, or even something like that, which would be really a deep curve. So just keep that in mind when you are picking out the ruler that you need to use. Okay, so I'm gonna go, I think, with this one, because I think this one might work out pretty well. So let's get started with that. So remember, the center line is going to follow the line that the registration line that I've marked out. And that's going to keep on going up that center. So you just want to make sure everything fits. You need to also decide what registration line you're going to use. I think I'm going to use the second line here, which will give me a 3/4 inch spacing. So I'm going to line that center line up. And I'm going to line that second line. Actually, I'm going to switch them to a different ruler. Let me go with, I think, this one. This one has enough grip tape on it, and it's nice and small for me to manage. So I'm going to, again, go to this solid line right here, and we're going to line it up. So there's the first one. Now that doesn't look like much of a curve, but you'll see as we go along how it will definitely curve. So you're going to follow that center line up, and you're going to the registration line you want, which I've picked the second solid line there, or the solid line, and then we're going to come back. Now the trick to hugging the curve of the ruler sometimes is to look ahead at where you're going. Sometimes if I'm looking right at my needle, I tend to wobble away a little bit. So again, we're not lining up over here. We're only lining up in the center section. And you can see that it's really starting to curve now. Okay, so I got the curves in going one direction. Now I'm going to come back down to here, and I'm going to go up in this direction. Again, I'm lining up that center line, and I'm lining up the end point with this long solid line. And there you have it. You've done a curved crosshatch, and it wasn't that hard. Again, you started from this side and you went up this way. You traveled down, and then you took the curved ruler and went up this way. Pretty soon you have a really pretty curved crosshatch. I hope that that tutorial helped you out. If there's other designs that you would like for me to do tutorials on, please post comments below, and that will be, and I'll be sure to try and cover it. Thanks for following me, and I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel. Have a great day and happy quilting, everybody.